across the state, counties recognize that it costs more money to do business next year. And they increase funding for their district to help accommodate that. And that's why you see that per pupil number has risen over time. And so, all we're trying to do is make sure we stay amongst them and not fall behind them, you know, to the bottom.
One of the commissioners during a joint meeting had brought up an idea, and a lot of states and a lot of, some of the counties, I think in North Carolina, actually utilize this process where there's just a set amount of the ad valorem, or the property taxes, that are allocated to the school district, and they present that every year, and they simply go on that, which would eliminate the per pupil funding, all of that. It basically would say, here's the amount of money that you would get. I conservatively, I did a lot of research yesterday and put together some charts here, because I wanted to find out what that would affect us here. And I went back to the 2012 fiscal year. So it would have been 11, 12 through 18, 19, which we're currently in, and went back and looked to determine just if we had gone to that system, what the effects of how much money more or less over our current funding formulas we would get. And I was pleasantly surprised. I used a currently we're at 70.5 per 70.5 cents per 100 evaluation of property. That's how the taxes against our properties is come out. And prior to that, we were at 0.675, and going back to 12 and 13, we're at 0.58. So I conservatively used a figure of 42 cents out of every 70.5 cents. If that was allocated to the school district, what that would come out to. And it would equate out to that we would get approximately for 2019 would have gotten 59.57% of all of the ad valorem taxes that were assessed. And that came out to $60 million, 188, as opposed to our allocation of 51,630. And I went back all the way back to 2012, and it significantly increased to the tune of $7 to $8 million more that we would have gotten had we adopted a policy like that. So that's something I think that we might want to think of, and if they're amenable to that, and there are a couple of commissioners I understand that are considering this proposal, that they've actually they brought it up during the joint meeting. So it's something that we might want to consider, taking it outside of the norm of what we've done all these years with per pupil funding, or with just ad hoc funding like you were talking about in the early days, where we just present a budget and they say thumbs up or thumbs down. You know, this takes some of the guesswork out of it. We would always know, because we could figure out when we set the tax rates, are usually set for I think they're 4 or 5 year periods before they increase it. So the only variable in that tax increase or decrease every year is the tax valuation that they go out and determine. Every year they determine how much the property value is worth. The tax rate is already set. And we could go back and renegotiate a higher rate if the property taxes dropped. Let's say we went into a recession, property values drop, the tax rate stays the same, but the valuation then determines how much money comes in, and you would actually get a lot less money, and the county has to operate under this principle the same way. They deal the same thing, whether it's 70.5, and the 70.5 cents that we increase